Cuphead tier list. Listen. PIROULETTA is an anthropomorphic roulette wheel with a long ass nose. That's all you need to know. Smoke dash, easy. Mr. WHEEZY is a big old cigar, something Andrew Tate would appreciate.
Shut up, bitch. Set.
And just like Andrew Tate, he spits pure fire whenever he speaks. These fire puffs go in a spiral direction and are pretty easy to dodge. His other attack, he goes full Houdini and disappears and reappears on the other side. There's ample time to move to the next side, but one small issue. Just avoid the little ciggies across the screen. You'll be fine. Smoke dash is best for this battle. When defeated, King Dice makes his appearance by fucking straight up murdering him. Pip and Dot, the domestically abusive couple, are another one of King Dice's 9 mini-bosses. They go full Dungeon Master, tossing 12-sided dice at you. The stage also moves in this battle, giving you an extra thing to dodge. Along with this, there's this duck, pigeon, some sort of fucking bird that flies across the edge of the screen. Once you defeat Pip and Dot, they go full Chris Brown mode and start straight up punishing each other. Our first little taste of the DLC bosses on this list. The pawns are part of the King's Challenge, where your only attack for these bosses is your parry move. They're a relatively easy boss, the only downside being like a hillbilly's family tree, there are a lot of them, and they drop down in random spots, sometimes very hard to predict, as you're too busy trying to get the heads at the bottom. I'd recommend Miss Chalice for any parry battle, as her dash proves very useful in multiple combos, and helps you focus on the ones dropping, instead of the ones on the floor. And before you say, I use the invincibility dash, fuck you, alright? Fuck you. It's hard to do, with my little fingers. Okay? The Knight is the next boss of the King's Challenge and is another pretty easy boss once you get his challenges right. His attacks consist of a forward lunge, an upward strike and a crescent strike. This boss you can't parry straight away and he's very clear he wants you to challenge him from his hand gestures if you get too far away. To defeat him, you have to dodge his attacks and he will come into a stunned phase where you can parry a total of 2 times if you're lucky. With his forward lunge, it gives you a couple of seconds before you dodge to get a nice parry in. Make good use of Miss Chalice's invincibility roll. I know I didn't. And her double jump, as it will prove very useful in the lunge attacks. Easy defeat, easy boss. A very controversial opinion. I've seen many videos saying Mangosteen is the hardest King Dice boss, and all the chalks are very hard to avoid. In my opinion, okay, we all experience the game differently, funnily enough. I was thankful whenever I got Mangosteen on my King Dice roll, because I knew I was up for an easy fight. Anyways, Mangosteen is a billiard ball who fires little laser circles at you while you have to dodge his little chalk bros flying across the screen. The only slightly difficult thing about the chalks that I do agree with is that sometimes they do fly on the stage off screen and can catch a heart if you aren't careful. Other than that, just stay in the center and you'll be fine! Chips BETTIGAN is a stack of poker chips who splits himself across the screen. His attacks are easy to dodge with the smoke dash, but if you're planning on not using it, I hope you're good at timing, because this fight is purely based on RNG. You could have an easy ass pattern, or you could have individual chip hell that would make you wonder, how the fuck can I avoid that? This is why Chips isn't first on the list. Yes, he's an easy boss, but just like poker, you have to have luck on your side. You deal damage to Chips by hitting his head, and only his head, so be aware that if you're using a shot type other than the chaser, or the crack shot, you're gonna have to time it. The Rabbit in a Hat solo act. Hocus Pocus is a very easy boss if you're using the smoke dash, but if not, that's fine, because his attacks clearly show you where you need to be every time. Hocus Pocus has 2 attacks, the conjuring circle of skulls that slowly close in, and the rising line of cards you have to parry. To avoid the circle of skulls, you either dash through the opening before the skulls close in, or if you're using the smoke dash, fucking dash anywhere! His second attack, the rising playing cards, isn't something you can dash past. You actually have to parry the pink card in the middle to surpass this attack. But you probably know this already, I mean, you got this far. You had to beat fucking Phantom Express and all you pretty much do in that fight is parry. Being the first bosses of the game, obviously it's on the easy list for a reason, but not as easy as you think. The Root Pack consists of 3 bosses, the Potato, the Upset Onion, and the Hypnotic Carrot. With the Potato, any shot type is fine. He has a very standard attack, throwing mud clumps and parryable worms that just speed up on expert mode. It doesn't really make a difference to the difficulty. Once you've defeated the Potato, you move on to the saddest boss, the Onion. This sweet little boss, who just cries. He just fucking cries, and his tears are the attacks. That's literally it. Do you feel good? Do you feel good about yourself? You heartless little shit!
Ah, there goes that murderer! You got away with murder, you murdering, lying waste of life!
But if you're wholesome and leave him alone, you get the good ending. The onion thanks you, blushing, going back into the ground, thankful to live another day. And then it just makes the fight fucking harder! Beyblade, let it rip, fucking radish! Carrot's a pretty easy fight. It opens its third eye when it's about to attack, so it's pretty easy to predict. But with the radish, dashing about, trying to avoid it, it's quite hard. So that's why it's kind of low on the list. If you defeat the boss properly by defeating the onion first and avoiding the radish, it's a very easy fight, and you're very unlikely to lose any hearts. But with the radish, it adds an extra shade of difficulty to the battle. CAGNEY Carnation, like his last name implies, is a tall, sentient carnation flower, with a sprinkle of Flowey and Mr. Burns. At the start of the battle, CAGNEY is capable of extending both his face and his arms as a lunge to quickly lash out and deal damage. To avoid this attack, players must either jump on the platforms or get off them, depending on which section CAGNEY is aiming for. He can chain 3 attacks at most before going back to idle animation, which could be the Sycamore Boomerang, which I like to refer as the Bunny Rang, and also the Acorns. CAGNEY can also morph his face into a Gatling gun to shoot different coloured seeds. Each seed has different abilities. The blue seed grows a green Toothy Terror Chaser. Toothy Terror Chaser.
Today, Junior!
That acts like a homing missile. The purple seed grows a baby Toothy Terror on the ground that acts like an obstacle. The pink seed grows a vine, and then the Toothy Terror Floater that will fly above. It then opens its mouth and shoots a seed at the players. Only one can be spawned at maximum, and any access pink seed will turn into a green Toothy Terror. The seed itself and the flower's bullets can be parried. The Toothy Terror cannot be damaged until it's in its attacking animation. After taking enough damage, CAGNEY will pull on his petals in frustration and thrust his hands underground. His eyes will become slightly yellow and his pupils intensely dilate. As his arms sink underground, they become thorny and sprout back out, spreading thorny vines that make the lower ground untouchable, forcing the protagonist to stay on the 3 flying platforms. Goopy le Grande, the lovable slime. As the battle begins deep inside the forest, Goopy tips his hat at you, like a 2012 Reddit meme. Blissfully hopping about, easy to dodge with any dash, but be careful because he could stop at any moment and fling himself at you. Once you've passed his first phase, he pops a perky and starts calling out the Paul family. Jake Paul! Logan Paul! Any of the Pauls? Swimming pool? Want a game of pool? His last phase he turns into a gravestone, his attacks being very predictable and overall a pretty easy fight. You may ask, why is he so far down the list if there's not that much to talk about him, difficulty wise? And I say, fuck off! BEPPI the Clown, yes I know, why so low? Lobber, spread, job's a fucking good un. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. BEPPI likes to start with a little bumper car derby while his duck friends fly across the screen. Like, why the fuck are these things here, man? To avoid BEPPI without smoke dash, you have to parry the pink duck at the right time. For this phase, I recommend the lobber because it does that much damage it will make him drive back and forth once and then go straight to his next phase. His next phase he turns into a big balloon, accompanied by his balloon dogs. And a roller coaster you have to keep track of. Once you've finished this isn't the end of BEPPI because the theme park hasn't just got bumper cars and balloons, they also have a carousel. It comes in 2 colours, green and yellow, swirly and straight. Due to RNG, you don't know what BEPPI will throw at you, but you're praying for green because yellow, including the roller coaster, is quite difficult to dodge. But if you get in there early, just as the balloon dies with some lobbers, you'll only have to sit through 1 or 2 horse attacks. My run, I decided to risk my health to take out the horse, and it came out in my favour. You'll only have to sit through 1 or 2 horse attacks till you get to the Big Daddy, the pillar. Now this is the most difficult phase in the BEPPI fight, mostly because of the whole cast of fucking Happy Feet chucking baseballs at me. But the pillar itself is easy. It's a little platformer that moves across the screen while you deal damage to the middle. Spread or lobber for this final one and you'll get where you need to be in no time. The Bishop, another boss in the King's Parry challenge. In order to defeat this boss, you have to extinguish as many candles filling the screen, while also dodging him and his bells flying at you. If you play as Miss Chalice, you'll have little to no issues defeating this boss, as you can double jump and dash about the screen, making the attacks pretty easy to dodge. But the bells! The fucking bell! More candles fill the screen as you deal damage to the bishop, speeding it up each time you pass a section, eventually igniting all the candles on the screen. Once extinguished, you can finish the bastard, and that's that. The reason the bishop is this low on the difficulty chart is because his attacks can be very unpredictable. With the bells flying about the screen, sometimes if you go for a parry, you could lose a heart if you aren't careful. If you parry while he's just about to deploy a bell, you still take damage. And depending on where the bishop spawns or how fast he flies at you, you could also lose another heart. The Rook. The oily fucking simp dreaming of that Miss Guillotine puss. Another boss of the King's Parry Challenge. This boss is a strange one. You deal damage to him by parrying women's heads in a sort of kicky uppy until it reaches him, while dodging the skulls of the women he sent to the block that didn't go out with him. The best way to deal damage quickly is to go towards him as quickly as possible, and when that spark comes out, jump immediately. You can get 2 easy hits in without even moving a muscle. After that, it's up to you to either keep the momentum or do it the old-fashioned way. Be careful of where you step though, because at the bottom of the screen, when you've done enough damage, sparks will fly at you. They're very small and very hard to see, so just be aware, my friends. After all that though, pretty easy boss. I'm not gonna lie, again, I got a very lucky run on this boss. I died a couple times while recording the footage, but this one was a fucking sick run on. God save our precious queen! The queen is the final boss of the King's Parry Challenge, and a hard finish to the challenge, let me tell you that much. Also, for people saying I don't do it, look, I did the invincibility dash there, look!
You like that?
She has 2 attacks, and you only have 1 way of dealing damage to her. And you got a cool kill shot for this one because you're going to need accuracy. Her first attack consists of flexing her wealth at you, throwing all her royal jewels across the screen. It's a lucky dodge at this point. You've just got to believe you won't get hit. Then you won't. Her second attack, 3 parryable lion pieces charging towards you, covering the screen. When you defeat her, take a seat and give yourself a pat on the back. Especially with the gauntlet, because you deserve it. The final of the easy category, Phantom Express. The spooky ghost train of Inkwell Isle 3. This boss takes a lot of parrying to keep yourself in the battle. You stand on a train cart with 2 parryable wheels while a ghost is hurling eyeballs at you. You have a bunch of little pumpkin pals flying across the screen, dropping what I call soap. If the soap hits one of the wheels though, it changes the direction of your carriage either forward or backwards depending on where it lands. Sometimes it can be in your favour, most of the time you should just parry it out of the way. Once you've got past the first phase, you have the skeleton conductor, whose attacks are based yet again on RNG. Your main aim is to get the cart in the middle, and depending on where the hands appear, you either parry completely out the way or stay centered and go through either that non-hitbox trick that I show here. Spread is best for the conductor, but for this run I used pea shooter, because he's close enough to deal some real good damage. His next phase is why it's so far down on the list. 2 fucking snake things appear on each side, and one takes the chance of blasting across the screen, while the other sits there and takes the hits. Along with this, you have the fucking tampon ghosts and that pumpkin still hurling shit towards you. For this phase, Chaser is your best bet, so you can deal with the little nuisances, and it gives you a chance to keep your footing and dodge the main boss's attacks. To avoid the laser beam easily, just drive your carriage to the opposite side, and the lasering from the hide in the corner. Not too far, otherwise you might get hit. Rinse and repeat. The final phase of Phantom Express is the train, who has the most fucking annoying and hard to avoid attacks in this battle. Not only do you have the pumpkin pals and the bricks, you also have fireballs you can barely see and horizontal boomerang bones. Fuck those bone things. You can get these again in probably the hardest boss fight in Cuphead, so don't worry, you'll see these absolute atrocious projectiles again. Overall, this boss is quite easy when you get the hang of the cart, and the patterns the phases move. Medium, listen.
I am Billy Kimber. I run the races.
PHEAR, one of the 2 flying mini-bosses in the King Dice fight. PHEAR only has 1 attack, which is shooting a blue present out of his ribcage. The boxes travel for a certain amount of time before exploding and releasing golden horseshoes in all 8 directions. One of the horseshoes is pink and can be parried. While the players are busy fighting him, a derby race is happening below the fight with skeleton jockeys riding skeleton horses. When a ghostly robed skeleton appears, riding its horse, it flies up to the player's location. Throughout the battle, the foreground scenery blocks the player's view, making it impossible to see the ghost! Mr. Chimes. This fight is an annoyance to say the least. It's a matching memory game while you have a symbols monkey bouncing across the screen. Make good use of your little plane because you're going to need it for this battle. As you match the cards, the monkey wakes up, revealing himself for a bit so you can deal some damage. Along with this, he bangs his symbols, sending golden music notes in 6 directions. If you mismatch a set, he will start moving in a new direction, faster, and in Expert it gets even faster. But if you don't do anything for a while, he will reset to his normal speed. There's a total of 12 cards and 6 pairs to match, which counts to 6 rounds to attack Mr. Chimes. After taking enough damage, he returns to his motionless state. Once you've matched the last pair and hit him enough times, the monkey is back in its cave. The first and worst of the King Dice bosses. You have
The whiskey shit.
these 3 Hellraisers are a pair of drunkards just looking to fuck your first play up. Their names, if you care, are Romulus the whiskey bottle with the Squidward nose, old Ethan the rum glass with the Rudolph nose, and Jeanette the martini with more makeup on than Trisha Paytas. But I couldn't care less. I have no sympathy when I smash their stupid faces. All 3 have separate attacks, and each attack is as bad as each other. Old Ethan leans backwards and falls forwards, covering the entire ground, forcing me to jump at a random time. Jeanette sends the olive bat out, shooting its fucking eyeballs at me, some being parryable and some being just a nuisance. And our good friend Romulus shoots out his lid like a geyser, dropping down at a random spot. Chaser is your best bet for this battle because you really need to focus on your footing for these cunts. They throw everything at you and Chaser helps you deal damage and kill off Jeanette's olive bats. One less thing to worry about. Werner Werman, the Nazi Jerry. Werner is a long-snouted brown rat who operates a dented tin can that bears 4 gold stars perched on a wooden cart that he uses as a battle tank. His first phase consists of 2 attacks. Cherry Cannon. He'll shoot a cherry at you. If the cherries hit the floor, they will send shockwaves of fire that travel along the ground in both horizontal directions upon exploding. Scrap Attack. A catapult of projectiles. These projectiles can be bottle caps, gems, nuts, bolts, coins, and 2 pieces of gum. The gum can be parried. After taking enough damage, Werner attempts to use what appears to be a bottle rocket in an effort to damage the player, but it backfires. The now damaged mechanical arm is unable to handle the weight of the rocket, causing it to drop into the tank and explode. In this phase, Werner attacks the players by shooting fire streams on both sides from 2 flamethrowers mounted below his seat. This attack can be avoided by immediately moving to the area which Werner moved, as Werner will cycle between moving up and down and firing the flamethrowers. While that happens, 2 columns of bottle caps shaped like saw blades appear on both sides of the arena. These bottle caps will spin and extend in pairs. Sometimes, however, an entire column might activate at once. All of a sudden, the cat named Katzenwagen, we'll stick with Tom, who had been occasionally peering behind the holes in the wall throughout the fight, will break in and eat him, commencing the final phase. In this phase, you battle Tom as it attacks by opening his mouth, revealing last night's lunch, clad in 1930s style prison scrubs. These ghosts will conjure a pink crystal-like ball and throw it at the player. This ball will release 2 fire waves travelling along the ground upon exploding, but it is possible to prevent this from happening by parrying it. Tom also may attack using his paw. As he retracts his paw, wooden boards begin to fall down from above, side to side. Once defeated, Tom's a robot!
Types now.
Anybody says different, I'll pound them.
RIBBY and CROAKS, the 2 boxing croaking brothers. One of them propelling flaming fists and the other spitting fireflies. Both a fucking nuisance. For the first phase, I'd recommend the Chaser because the fireflies, they drop like, well, flies. And you can focus your little self on dodging those fists. The second phase really depends on the difficulty you're playing. On Expert, it's a mixture of the first phase and the second phase. And this phase where you have to dodge the fists alongside the, I don't know what that is, a disco ball? But the normal mode is just the wind and the disco balls, which if you walk backwards with the wind, they're relatively easy to dodge. When the wind goes off, just stick to the back. Once you've defeated the second phase, they fucking eat each other and morph into a fruit machine. This fruit machine starts chucking coins at you until you parry its little lever. Once you parry its lever, you have a choice of one of 3 options. The easiest one being the Kermit one, Now, I'm not saying this is a piece of cake. If you do your first run through doing any of these phases, they're going to have some shade of difficulty. The second easiest is the ball. Up-down lasers, relatively simple. You go up on the platform that isn't glowing and vice versa. But fuck the tiger one, that one can fucking burn! Baroness, the candy princess, donning a good deal of resemblance to a soda bottle. Baroness has the tendency to use her minions to do her dirty work for most of the fight. These minions are Colonel Von Pop, Mufsky Churkanov, Sergeant Gumbo Gumball, Sir Woffington III, Lord Gobpacker. Lord Gobpacker. You run into 3 of 5 of the minions in this battle. Who you get all depends on RNG. If you get Gobpacker himself, Gobpacker, you will have a giant jawbreaker followed by the little corner shop jawbreaker. Gob homes into you and is a very easy fight if you get him. If you get Colonel Von Pop, the giant candy corn, and his little flying minions, expect dodging a lot, because this fella takes up a lot of the screen. His attacks are just him moving in random directions, hoping to hit you at some point. Get Mufsky and pray you have the right shot type, because Mufsky is fucking annoying. Probably the worst of Von Bonbon's minions. Muff likes to jump about the stage, leaving his residue as he hits the ground. I can't even. If you in any way touch the residue, you take damage. Sergeant Gumbo Gumball. Lobber and you pretty much body him. Simple. His attacks consist of flying gumballs falling from the sky, which are pretty easy to dodge. And last but not least, Sir Woffington III. The boss for a while I thought was a giant chocolate bar, despite shooting butter out of himself and having a giant block of butter on his grid, which I thought was caramel. Yes, I'm fat, okay? During the defeats of each mini-boss battle, Bon becomes more and more frustrated. At the second phase mark, she uses her little jelly beans on you. Hellish things. The third phase, she takes matters into her own hands and pulls out the 12 cotton gauge, hurling cotton candy towards you, one being parable if you're a contortionist. Finally, once all bosses are defeated, the castle gets up from his position and starts to charge towards you, followed by another minion, Pasty Menthol, the parable Menthol, following this as she decides to rip her head off and hurl that towards you too. This poor spoilt brat really didn't get her lollipop.
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You're
Captain BRINEYBEARD looks like a stereotypical cartoon pirate, with an eye patch, a red pirate bandana with a yellow line across it, and 2 wooden pedled. Fuck off! In this phase, BRINEYBEARD can only attack by pulling out a pink octopus to shoot projectiles at you. All but one can be parried. Throughout the battle, a pissed off looking barrel moves back and forth across the screen and will squash the players if they are underneath it. After slamming onto the dock, it will have an innocent expression for a few seconds upon being hoisted up and returning to its usual state. After taking enough damage, he can summon one of the 3 sea animals. He will use the pink octopus to shoot projectiles at you as he did in phase 1, but only after a sea animal has finished its attack. Squid. The squid unexpectedly shows up and flings ink blobs around sporadically. You can shoot it to stop it from attacking. While the ink blobs and the squid itself don't damage you, the ink blobs will darken your screen if you touch them. Shark. The shark arrives from the left side of the screen, which can be seen in the background accompanied by 2 sirens. The shark will attempt to bite the players unexpectedly from the left side, covering the 5th plank after the first pole, and then scurry back to the ocean after it finishes its attack. Dogfish. A group of 4 dogfishes appear from the right side of the screen that can be noticed by the periscope that appears after the captain finishes his whistle. The dogfishes will attempt to bite the player by jumping from the water to the dock and scurrying towards them, with their entry point being on the right. They can be easily disposed of by shooting them. The next phase, the ship will chew his mouth 3 times before spitting out a cannonball that flies across the dock. Along with this, the minions will still come until the final phase, where the ship decides that BRINEYBEARD ain't doing shit and decides to eject him from the ship, launching him into the endless sea. Is my guy dead? The ship will expose his vulva during the final battle, and that's what you aim for to deal damage. Be wary that the angry barrel is still about, and if you don't pay attention to it, you may just have to accept losing a heart. Lights, camera, action! This fight is a show you cannot miss. Sally STAGEPLAY is one of the sole human characters in the game, alongside BRINEYBEARD and Dr. Cal. In her first phase, Sally has 4 attacks. She might corkscrew down on you, jumping in the air and spinning towards you. She may jump in the air and throw a fan at you, leaving a fan in the middle to maybe trap you, perhaps. She may also stop to blow a kiss at you, driving a parryable flying heart that you can parry. Well, yeah, I said parryable. Or her parasol may scran her, and after a second or two, she'll fall from above and try and squash you. After taking enough damage, the priest is fucking pissing himself, and he hides under the stand. Sally uses her parasol to teleport off stage and rides in the back of her hubby. That sounds wrong. The second scene is set in front of Sally's gaff. This probably takes place long after the wedding, since Sally and her husband have started a family. In this phase, Sally still attacks with her phase 1 moves, but she loses the parasol teleporting and blow kiss attack. She can now use a new move which involves spinning her parasol to release 2 wind-up mouse toys on each side that will travel along the ground, up the wall and across the ceiling. Once they reach the top and are over you, they'll drop down onto you, and it's fucking so hard to avoid. Along with this, Sally's children are throwing fucking milk bottles at you as well, just to add to the mix, you know? After taking enough hits, Sally appears dressed as an angel and is carried away to the top of the stage, as if she, you know, game ended. Next scene looks like heaven, where players must now face Sally's goddess form, which is made out of cardboard and controlled by people above. She now has 3 brand new attacks that differ to her previous. A cardboard cutout will appear at the upper left corner showing which attack is about to be executed. Meteor. A cardboard meteor is dropped down from above, which you can destroy to reveal a pink star. This comes useful for the next attack, the big wave, if you get the big wave. A cardboard tidal wave carried by a troop member that usually follows after the meteor attack. The star that the meteor follows is parryable and you can use it to jump over the wave. But if you have smoke dash, just fucking dash through it. Lightning. Cardboard lightning bolts that strike down on where you're standing before it bounces back up. Each attack can create 2 or 4 bolts of lightning. In the final yet slightly messed up scene, Sally returns in her angel outfit to receive a standing ovation from the crowd as she's being carried from left to right. In the background are the priest, Sally's children and her husband, who are also receiving praise from the audience. She doesn't have any attacks, but rather her parasol slowly falls down from above, spinning on its tip and chasing the players relentlessly like a Beyblade. The parasol is not the only danger that should be avoided though, as the crowd can also throw roses onto the stage. These roses are thrown up into the foreground and then fall down onto the stage where they went up. You can accidentally run or dash into them, so just be careful. Like any movie though, there is always a possibility for a different ending. This is displayed perfectly in the secret phase. Missing out shooting Sally and instead going for the cherubs weighing the platform down, you can fucking kill her husband. As Sally does the blown kiss attack, time it well so you can jump onto the cherubs. Once you've jumped on both cherubs, Sally skips the phase 1 to cry over her dead husband. Oh god, so sad. It doesn't end here, however. Instead of appearing in Sally's gaff like normal, you appear in a nunnery with nuns hurling rulers at you instead of babies throwing their bottles. Once you've moved past the next phase, the husband makes an appearance as an angel alongside Sally. Following this, he provides an extra attack alongside Sally's, this being a fire wheel, which makes dodging the other attacks increasingly difficult, especially the big wave. The final battle on the secret ending is even more sadder than the original fight. You only have Sally going right to left with a priest and a nun thanking, implying the husband, the actor, is actually fucking dead. HILDA, the blimp bitch. This is the first plane fight you come across in the game, and it doesn't come easy. HILDA's first phase consists of laughing in your face and using her little blimp buddies to shoot little cannonballs at you. Some being parryable in single shot, but also green ones that shoot in different directions. The second phase, she brings the star signs out. First being the charging Taurus, who initiates its attacks by bending back and hurling itself at you. A lot of people say that there's no prompt with the Taurus, but they're just wrong. Sorry, but they're just wrong. And then in the second part, you've either got Sagittarius or Gemini. Sagittarius means that HILDA goes through gender reassignment surgery and becomes a senator with a bow and arrow that will shoot an arrow across the screen. In addition, the launch will sprout a trio of homing blue stars. The stars can be destroyed by your own bullets. Gemini. HILDA turns into a set of female twins that circle round a swirling crystal ball. They pause to raise their arms and make an incantation, summoning a vortex on the player's side of the screen. The vortex will launch a line of bullets while rotating, forcing you to maneuver around it to avoid damage. The vortex disappears after making a complete rotation. After defeating the star sign mini-bosses, you are met with the last phase, the Steampunk Moon. The moon throws stars and UFOs your way. The UFOs are very hit and miss. You can either wait for the laser to clear and pass through normally, or time it right and dash it before it deploys. This playthrough I got a little too confident and almost lost, so be very careful if you try this method. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend like me. He's a muscular orange-red genie that seemingly treats the battle in a fun-having, playful, trickster way. After his introduction, DJIMMI will summon a treasure chest through his carpet and use one of these 3 attacks from the chest to damage the players. Swords. The chest will spurt out sentient swords that stick to the corner of the screen for a bit and then sprout teeth and home into you. One can be parried. The true contents of the chest. The chest opens, blasting you with a jewelry shrapnel, flinging goblets and gems. One of these gems can be parried. Finally, the homing cats, which in my opinion is the hardest due to the cats sometimes coming out of nowhere off screen. This attack launches 2 cat sarcophagi, which reveals 4 homing cat scarabs each, one of which, like all the attacks, can be parried. Once DJIMMI has taken enough damage, he will disappear and the second phase will begin. In this phase, you have to traverse through side-scrolling section, with DJIMMI being the pillar that blocks your path. The pillar can only be passable by shooting at the section with DJIMMI's face laughing, which creates a small opening for you to fly through. Once you pass through the pillar, you're met with saw blades that bounce around trying to damage you. After the players make it to the end, the side-scrolling section disappears and the next phase begins. In this phase, a sarcophagus of himself appears and reveals his face inside of it. He attacks you mainly by moving up and down and shooting his 2 eyeballs at you, which move in a wave motion. All the while, ghost mummies of himself come out of the sarcophagus. I'd recommend staying high and using the bombs for this phase because it has the right amount of range to deal good damage along with dealing with the mummies. After taking enough damage, the sarcophagus gives you the sad look and leaves off screen.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
And the marionette fight begins. In this phase, players face the wooden marionette version of Cuphead created by DJIMMI. This marionette moves around for a bit before shooting blue projectiles through his finger at you. Guess what? One of the shots can be parried. I know! All the while, DJIMMI's turban homes in on players, following them and stopping to fire 3 waves of bullets which goes in a cross formation and slightly curves to the right. His final phase consists of 2 attacks. The orbiting pyramids around you, one opens its eyes and starts firing lasers at you in a cross-shaped formation. During this time, DJIMMI may fire a circle-shaped projectile out of the gemstone on his head. After you pull enough hits on him, DJIMMI is defeated as he is seen coughing. DJIMMI also offers a secret phase during his marionette phase. If you stay small while he is scanning for you, his perception of Cuphead will alter, and it will appear smaller and begin the last phase straight away. However, this means you're dodging DJIMMI's main attacks, and you also have to deal with a miniature Cuphead in the middle, shooting around you. The outright final boss of Cuphead. All the depths have led up to this moment, the final battle. Like any final boss battle, it's always usually a lot easier than the second to last boss, hence the devil being in the medium tier. The devil's first phase involves him attacking with both his pitchfork and his transformation. By chanting an incantation and swinging his pitchfork, he can create one of 3 projectile attacks. 4 crystal balls that bounce around, 5 fireballs with eyes moving left to right and back, 4 blue fireballs revolve around 1 pink one, which can be parried, 6 fireballs fixed in a hexagon formation, which home in on you. One of the 6 can be parried. He also uses 3 transformations, each with its own attack. The goat, where he transforms and smacks his hooves together, covering the bottom completely. having you make a random decision when to jump. The serpent, where he slivers from the left or right of the screen to the end and then retracting back. During this, you may have issues with the devil's little bitch that may catch you off guard if you ain't careful. The spider, whose attack is similar to Sally's parasol drop, the only difference being the devil stays in the air. After taking enough damage, the devil literally jumps out of his skin into a hole, causing the whole casino to burst into flames. Jumping into the hole, you are met again by the devil, but in his giant form, followed by various platforms. During this phase, the devil has 2 attacks. He joins his eyes into one, he summons a fiery axe that moves in a spiral motion and will damage you if you run into it. A bat bomb is created from one eye and spawned for either the left or the right ear, depending on the eye he spawns them in. If you fail to parry the bomb, which I never did, loser, the bomb will explode. These bombs will deal extreme damage to you if you get caught in it, as it covers half of the screen. During this, you also need to focus on the platforms being covered by the chips, as this can easily take a heart if you aren't focused. Second to last phase, the devil is starting to get angry. His minions make another appearance on both sides. This is the best time to use your special. Go for the invincibility one, because you can easily dispose of them by getting close with a spread, leaving you to keep an eye on the flying little shits. At this point, the devil has just given up, and he has a little cry. During his breakdown, the platforms clear off except one, and the tears coming out are parryable, and a single chip falls down the screen, but I didn't need to move a muscle!
Are you talking about me? There's nobody else in this web, so you must be talking to me.
Jesus. The insect mafia led by the Scarface snail. This posse contains the spider mobster and his goons, the light bug, and the anteater. The first fight, you're in the midst of a police chase and come across a spider mobster where he's fighting you and the ant police with his fly goons. Which makes no sense, because spiders eat flies, but... Anyway, the battle is conducted on 3 platforms, and the spider shifts up, down, and in the middle of the platforms, while also calling his goons to fly in and catch you off guard. The spider's main attacks consist of the caterpillar, where he flings a caterpillar at you, bouncing across the stage until you kill him, web bombs that are planted across the map and are used as a trap to walk into. You can also use these bombs to your advantage, however, by using it on the goons and dashing away at the right time. The best shot type in my opinion for this battle would be the lobber. I know I dick ride the lobber a lot, but surprisingly the lobber is great in dealing some good damage and also very good at taking care of the goons. The best way to use it is to shoot up and bounce about, so you have as much surface area covered as possible. Rinse and repeat, and that's an easy defeat. That rhymed. Wow. Next up, you have the light bug, who uses her dreadful singing and faulty gramophone to attack you. During this phase, the light bug starts dancing around on the middle platform, moving left and right constantly, as she does so and changing direction when she arrives at the ends of the bridge. The gramophone, to whose music she dances to, blasts out 6 musical sound waves, which rotate around the stage, 3 of which rotates clockwise and the other 3 counterclockwise. The sound waves can change their colour between green, yellow and red. When they are green or yellow and slightly wavy, they allow you to pass through them. However, the sound waves only turn yellow when they're about to turn red, and when they're red and twisted they can damage you. They rotate faster and faster as the phase goes on. As the light bug escapes following her defeat, a giant hand holds onto the bottom left of the stage. This hand can damage you. Another hand holds the middle right and the anteater breaks the bridge. He stays in the background and uses his long snout to poke about the 3 platforms from either side of the screen. He can extend his tongue out fully across what used to be a platform, eat a bunch of ant cops and fly mobsters and spit them out. When extending his tongue, he usually squints his eyes first before performing the attack. The anteater may also fake out to extend his tongue as well. The tongue can be parried. When he is defeated, sticky flytrap paper with some fly stock on it and the word knockout appears and the anteater slumps to the platform, supposedly defeated. But don't stop fighting just yet, because you gotta deal with the fucking snail now. Once you defeat the snail, the knockout screen will come up and you will finally defeated the Moonshine mob.
According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible.
Rumor is a very large queen bee, who makes it very apparent she does not want you in her hive. In the first phase, Rumor sends Security Bee after you. Security Bee will pull bee bombs from his pocket and then drop them. I recommend Lobber for this fight. This phase. Fuck off! Alright? It's a good shot type, and I won't let you tell me otherwise. Anyway. Worker bees with suitcases fly across the screen, looking very tired from work, just looking to get back to the wife, have a nice cup of tea, and unfortunately they're in your way, so you just gotta kill them. After taking enough damage, Security Bee will suffer an injury to his shoulder, and a plaster will appear in that region. He then departs, rubbing his shoulder and moaning, "Ow! Ow! 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 Ow!" in pain, flying off the screen to the left as Rumor finally shows her first appearance. In this phase, the worker bees will stop coming out, and Rumor will appear on either side of the screen and use her honey wand to cast 2 projectiles of the following spells. A purple triangle shooting little triangles at you. That is a fucking nuisance. A big... I don't know what that is. A big stripy pink sphere that you gotta run away from, basically. You can parry it. You can parry both of them. Occasionally, she'll show up in the middle, dropping her head down to the bottom screen, which is connected by a chain to her body. She chews and spits out 6 beam missiles on both sides that cover the entire arena in an S-like pattern. Once past this phase, Rumor flicks through a magic book and morphs into a fucking aeroplane for some reason. This aeroplane remains at the bottom of the screen and has 2 attacks. She'll either slide across the screen with a saw, or shoot flying fists at you. And yes, I used the Lobber for the final battle, alright? Fight me. Once defeated, Rumor's head pops out and her wings turn floppy. Esther has the usual Western apparel for cowboys and cowgirls, while also being a cow. During this phase, Esther Winchester is capable of moving up and down between the door and top floor window of the saloon, which changes how some of her attacks pay out. Her attacks in this phase are pulling out 2 bottles of snake oil, launching 2 snakes at you, and grabbing Rick from the fucking pickle dimension to cover half of your screen. During this battle, small flying horses will travel from the right hand side of the screen. Before they disappear, they'll throw a fucking cactus at you. Along with this, you also have a vulture that drops dynamite. Try and stay to the edge of the screen because the explosion only shoots out a certain distance, where you could easily avoid it if you just stick to the edge. After taking enough damage, Esther will open the roof of her saloon with a vacuum in hand and blow a raspberry at the player. Fucking immature or what? Esther has 2 attacks in this phase. The first involves her sucking up loads of valuables, coins, wads of cash, coin bags, gold bars, and sheriff badges. Her vacuum cleaner also drags you in the process, forcing you to move backwards. After sucking up enough valuables, she will duck down and start shooting safes in the air, which rain down at the top of the screen. Once they're destroyed, cash and coins will fly towards you. Some of the items can be parried. This phase is purely based on luck and dodging. Once she's sucked up more than she can chew, that's not a saying, is it? She turns into a hot dog. I'd recommend sticking with the bomber for this phase because it provides very good damage and has some very good range. During this phase, you have little tinned hot dogs that cover different sides of the screen that pop out and maybe block your path if you aren't careful. During this, Esther will shoot out her fucking ancestors. Beef that goes in a spiral direction. Once you've defeated her hot dog phase, she goes back into her tin and begins the final phase. Now this is probably the hardest phase if you haven't fought her before, purely by the fact that the shots are very random and quite hard to avoid. From a hole, it will throw 2 lines of sausages that will go down and up after a few seconds. You can't stay in the middle for too long because the 2 lines will close up and touch you. What you need to do is look at the lines of the sausages and find the empty spaces. You can go through here and pass to the other side, but beware of the lines opening again. You won't have too much space for maneuvering. At the same time, the boss will throw different chilies at you in a row. They always move in a straight line. Once defeated, the tin can will open, releasing little angel sausages. Mortimer Freeze is pretty much Ice King's cousin. Instead of a palace, he's got a fucking coliseum. As the battle commences, Mortimer will use these 3 attacks at random. He'll extend his cape to summon 4 living icicles that protrude from the ground before running towards you. They can be shot and defeated.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
The 3rd attack he could do is he pulls out a crystal ball and finds out your fate with tarot cards, creating those TikToks that decide your fate. Oh, the fool! Your wife will arrive in 5 days. It's been 5 days, man. What is this bullshit? For the entirety of this phase, he constantly moves side to side while airborne, requiring you to shoot upwards. After taking enough hits... Elsa? Do you wanna build a snowman? Just like the first phase, the snowman has 3 moves. He can slam his hand on the ground to reveal spikes, he can transform, roll and bounce about, or he could turn into a fridge and start throwing ice cubes and ice lollies at you. After defeating the snowman, you move on to the final phase. During the phase, the battlefield completely changes into 5 platforms that revolve around the center as the player climbs up to them. The snowflake, like the others, has 3 attacks. He could pop his eye out and the eye will fly across the map, periodically firing a laser. This laser will fire 5 times. He could open up his snowflake to reveal his hands and create buckets that split into 3 moon projectiles as they hit the edge of the screen. He could turn his mouth into an ice cream stand and cycle around the platform. After all that, once you've defeated him, the snowflake will melt. Mortimer will have a fucking water bag on his head and he's sitting on his hat. Somebody get this guy an ice pack. Hard! Let's speed this up a bit! Hey, she kinda bad though.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Unknown sailors. Unknown sailors. Fuck off. Oh, right, okay. Easy. Easy. No, not the unknown sailor! How is this fair? How is this fair? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, why you do this to me? Move, 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 move! Oh, fuck. Nah, shots fired, man. What is this? Is it the hood? Many men wish death upon me. Oh, fucking hell! Come on, that's it. That's what we gotta do. No! You're so low. Come on! Just stop. No! No! Battered me then. Gotta stay up. Right. Nah! What the fucking you lads doing there? What is going on? What is going on? There's too much going on the screen, man. Tell everybody I'm on my way. Oh, that bear's dead, bro. Hello, Cuphead. You lads are moving mad. Oh god. I'm in his fucking mouth with an ulcer. What am I? Fucking Bonjella? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fucking this one. Oh my god, oh my god. Why has he got a fucking strap? My guy's got a fucking tool. He's just come out of the egg. Fuck you. Wait, what? Ah, Mr. King Dice. Boom, 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 boom. Go this way. No, never mind. No. Woo! Yeah, boy. Fuck you, King Dice.
Through all your battles and all of my rhymes, you have failed and perished.
Fucking hell! Let's go. I could not have done anything else than take a heart at that point. This fucking fucking shite again. Oh, this is so annoying. Useless shite. Absolutely useless shite. That's it. Come on. Final phase. Alright, let's go. Easy, 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 easy. Piece of piss. Oh my god, my eyes are going mental. My eyes are going mental. Oh my god, oh my god. Parry that. Blow him up. Come on. He should be dead by now. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's so dead, he's so dead, he's so dead, he's so dead. He's so dead. No, come on, he's so dead. Yeah! Oh my god. That's one. That's one. Two. Oh, don't go in my direction. That's it. Right. Last phase, last phase. Come on. Put my game face on. Alright, we've just got to dodge these. Don't have to shoot at them. Just have to dodge them. And as soon as they get to the flamethrower bit, there he is. Wonderful. Oh my god. That's it. That's it. Oh my god, I'm on 1 HP. Don't mess it up. Don't. Oh, bro. What's she doing that happy? No! Not the dough! Bruh. I'm gonna die already. I'm just watching this guy straight up fucking murder everything in his path, man. I can't move. I cannot move. Oh my god, bro. This is so fucking hard. Keeping an eye on everything on screen is fucking so difficult to do. Ow! Shut up. You stupid fucking soul shaker. Yeah, mate, that's it. Oh my god. I couldn't avoid that! How can I avoid that? What is that, a Lego stud? Kill him already, please. Smash him up. Oh, that was so lucky. Right, what's this? What is this? What is this? What in the fucking La La Land is this? What is this? Oh, I can't be asked! And the hardest boss in Cuphead is, in my opinion, the Howling Aces. You'd assume this would be like a flying level, wouldn't you? Because, you know, there's planes. Here they are. Look, see the fucking homing bones. Fire hydrant coming for you. It's the final phase. You know, you might not be able to dodge that. All right. A lot of this is fairly easy, to be fair. Once you get the pattern down. There we go. Right, these little dogs, you know, pretty easy to avoid. Pretty easy to avoid. There is a secret ending you can do, but I can't be asked to get it for you. Right, yeah. There we go. Alright, final battle. It's fucking crap! Go. Okay, right, we're past the laser thing.